With lawmakers today demanding that Pam Bondi still appear for her scheduled deposition on April 14th, despite her firing, it's worth a reminder of how things went the last time Bondi appeared before Congress under oath. Watch.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about.
Now, you'll recall that was her answer to a line of questioning on her handling of the Epstein files. I want to bring in Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren of California. She is a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman, you were in that hearing we just played. Do you think that was the beginning of the end for Pam Bondi?
You know, it's hard to know with this president what's motivating him. She completely embarrassed herself. But, you know, it could be that she's failed to convict people without any cause, people who are his enemies. Certainly, the Epstein files have not been handled well. People across the country now believe that there may be a reason why President Trump is trying to hide the files when before people were giving him the benefit of the doubt. So this has been a bad situation for her and for the president, but I don't assume that her replacement will be something we'll cheer. I understand Todd Blanche is going to be filling in. He's the guy who went down and coddled Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving time for child abuse, moved her to a country club prison after the interview. So good riddance to Pam Bondi, but good luck to us for who might come next.
Well, let's talk about some of the other names that are circulating. You referenced Todd Blanche. We've also heard from our colleagues Lee Zeldin, Alina Habba, Jeanine Pirro. The question, of course, who on that list is actually confirmable? Is there someone here Republicans can get behind? None. Say more.
Not those names. I mean, Zeldin is violating the law constantly in his current position. He's been called out on it by myself and others in the Science Committee. Pirro has been, you can indict a ham sandwich, but not Trump's political enemies. She's been a failure and an embarrassment. Habba got thrown out of court. I mean, these people are jokes. I mean, they cannot be confirmed, I would imagine.
Okay, let me throw one more name into the mix because there's reporting today that some senators are trying to pitch Donald Trump on replacing Bondi with Senator Mike Lee. It was posited to me that his Republican colleagues just want him out of the Senate so badly that they saw an opening and thought they could potentially position him. Do you think Mike Lee would make a good AG?
No. I mean, I've worked with Mike actually on some FISA reforms. So, you know, it's not somebody I can't talk to, but I don't think he would be a good AG. And I imagine that some of his fellow Republican senators might want to get rid of him. Whether he would take that deal, turn in a Senate seat where he probably could serve for the foreseeable future for a job that, you know, he could get fired in a few months by Trump. He's so volatile. So would he even take it? I wouldn't if I were him.
I'm stuck on something that my colleague Michael Feinberg, who served as a special agent at the FBI, said in our previous block, which was, here you have a president who is frustrated that Pam Bondi has not succeeded sufficiently, in his view, in bending the DOJ to his whims and to his will. Michael Feinberg's argument was that she didn't just bend it, she broke the institution that once was the Department of Justice. In your mind, what does accountability look like for Pam Bondi, even as she returns to being a private citizen?
Well, she has to come to Congress. She's been subpoenaed, and the fact that she's been fired doesn't excuse her from complying with that subpoena. She has information that the Congress needs to get about the Epstein files. Whether she will escape Bar Association accountability, it's hard to say. A number of Trump defenders who are lawyers lost their bar licenses. I don't know if there's anything going on in that regard. relative to her, but certainly some of her conduct as AG might lead to questions about her ethics and her ability to adequately serve as an officer of the court.
I'm just so struck that if you read the reporting, it seems as though the president's biggest critique or frustration was her inability to prosecute his perceived enemies.
Right.
But from your vantage point, how much damage did she actually do? Even if she didn't succeed, even if there wasn't a home run, simply the time, the money, the pain, the damage to our democratic institution that has been inflicted. Mm-hmm. How are you going to look back on her tenure?
That was the point, I think, to try and harm people who the president doesn't like and who he considers his enemies, whether or not they hadn't committed crimes, any of them, which is why the effort to indict them failed miserably. Obviously, if you are a defendant in a matter, it costs money, it's aggravating. I think in some cases, it may end up helping people. They're now going after my colleague, Eric Swalwell, who is running for governor of California. And I think, since they've singled him out as the biggest enemy of Trump, that probably helps Eric in California. People are wondering who among the Democrats they should vote for. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, if Trump is against him that much, he must be our guy.